best example of the explosion of cyanobacteria in a particular environment is in the desert.
I did not see us going there.
Yeah. Because in the desert, if you take a soil sample, there's no carbon. Okay?
Of course.
It's all oxidized off, right? And yet...
Ton of silicon, though.
Yes, and minerals, and it hasn't generally been screwed up by agriculture because it hasn't been worth going to try and farm in the desert. But what happens with the desert is that if the minerals are there in various forms, the cyanobacteria, as far as climate goes, God, they're tough as old boots, tougher than old boots. They're tougher than pukakers in their soup. It's incredibly tough. So it's sitting there, it rains. When you see the explosion in the desert of all the growth and all the flowers, it's already been through one cycle of the cyanobacteria producing the nutrient and the nitrogen available for the secondary plant to take that up and grow. Because it wasn't there in the soil to start with. It happens that fast. So when you look at how quickly those processes take place, that's a phenomenal rate of growth, isn't it? It's just like it rained and all of a sudden everything starts germinating. And there's all these flowers and beautiful colours come out. And as I say, they're a secondary explosion after the cyanobacteria took off to start with.
Right. So that really is, having this understanding really is a great way of how knowing what this phenomenon is and how it works, how you can have less reliance on external minerals.
Well, what you got to do is once you realise that this process is working for you, you just keep nurturing your soil and understanding what's there and what the limiting factors are and just keep nurturing the soil and let it keep working for you. It's like in our soils, once that cyanobacteria start working, like there's 70%, 80% nitrogen in the atmosphere, right? The cyanobacteria will grab the nitrogen and make the protein in themselves. So you didn't even have to go and harvest it out of the soil. They were the nitrogen factory.
You're going to get some pushback on that. People won't believe that, I'm sure. So that's good. That's good. Open your mind. But how might Kivran's insights influence soil testing, especially when farmers' real-world observations don't line up neatly with lab results?
I think the thing is that when you do look at the testing and you can cross-reference with this, you start to see the things that are happening. And the issues are that because we haven't had the totals tests and the available test, we haven't been able to reference how things have moved over time and why they move over time. And this is the thing about...
And that's going to explain a lot of that skepticism.
Absolutely. I mean, there was two clients on the last trip I had down South Island from before this one, and they both said to me, we watched your soil test video and we had our old tests and the new tests. And they just said, bang, we got it. Shit, we got it. That changed, that changed, that changed. What you said would happen when the aluminium fell and these other minerals started to come into place. There's a whole lot of stuff that it just happened. The calcium went up. This happened, and the reflection in the animal health, it changed.
Were both of the old tests and the new tests, were they both Brookside Labs?
Absolutely. And this is the big
because they're a comprehensive panel.
That's it.
Yeah.
The big issue is whatever you do when you're starting this process, make sure you've got a comprehensive process of where's my starting point? Where is my starting point? Most people don't know what that is. And so when you do that totals and the availables and do a herbage test in the spring and you take in all those molybdenums, copper, zinc, boron, everything that you need to, you've got this massive set of data. And then 2 years down the track or 1 year down the track or every year if you want to, all of a sudden the data just keeps coming up and it unfolds to you what will happen and what does happen in soils when they're looked after properly. And it's beautiful. It really is. And I must say, it also alludes to any issues. Like you'll see it go, if something's short or in a deficiency, you'll just see it stop. It'll even revert slightly if you've missed something. And so instead of you throwing the toys out of the cot and going, what happened? What's wrong? And 18 months ago, we ran out of boron because we didn't realise that we had to have boron involved with the silicon in large quantities for this process to carry on. We hit a wall. We isolated
on your personal farm?
Yeah, on the farm at home. Yeah. We hit the wall. We saw it on other clients' farm. We went after that. Man, what a change.
Fascinating. I just want to cover off a little bit of skepticism, okay?
Go for it.
What is the mainstream scientific stance on biological transmutation today?
They don't want to talk about it.
Right.
That's we haven't got any open discussion. Like this is part of the reason that I sort of found that I needed to do this so I can get to clients and that sort of thing. The farming papers are paid by people that are selling products.
So true.
And they're not going to have a discussion about this because that means they won't sell any products.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so it's all driven commercially. And so our health and our well-being and our productivity is relying on reading of papers that get dropped in our, that this is the most up-to-date science and blah, 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 and we don't talk about it. Who talks about Lewis Crevran? Who talks about William Albrecht? Who talks about these people? Like Maynard Murray, Sea Energy and Agriculture. Who's not? We're not talking about these people, and we really should be.
Yeah.
And our universities should have, they test products, not theories or opportunities. They test products. And one of the crazy things I saw not long ago, they were going to do a regenerative trial, but first of all, they had to get the Olsen P level up of phosphate first, and going, well, flipping heck, that's not starting very well. So, but their concept for doing the research is what they'd been trained in, and they weren't allowed to actually expand themselves to go way further.
Right.
And there's nothing like buying a farm and getting yourself deep in debt and start going, oh, how does this work? Oh, I need to get out of here.
Can I also just say there's nothing like doing a university trial and starting off with shit land? How are you going to, that's not even a great baseline, is it?
Well, they should start with shit land. And then they might work out how to fucking get it right. But what they do is they take really good stuff and turn it into shit land.
Hey, have modern soil health studies provided evidence for or against Crevran's claims?
I don't think I can find, other than our own work, I can't find data or material on their understanding of how this function works.
Well, I suppose, a soil test in itself is a kind of a study.
The part where without a total soil test and an available soil test to go with it in comparison, it doesn't give you any data, because minerals go into availability and out quite regularly depending on the seasons, climate, everything else. But unless you're actually able to see the two and watch what's going on, you haven't got a baseline.